Mark Webber grabs lane 1. Next to him is Mark Evans in the Elam Plus, and that means that Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser will have to come from lane 3. George Stratton and his Appian Geronimo in lane 4. Miss Madison, Jerry Hopp subbing, is out in lane 5. Those 5 in the front row, and then Mark Tate and the Freddy's Club Chrysler Jeep is the trailer boat. He's back a bit as Dave Villwock starts the race in first place in Miss Budweiser, running out in lane 3.
Unlike the problems back in the previous heat in which he had trouble in that initial turn, no problems there. They made sure of it, and off to the roaring start is Dave Villwock in the Red Rocket. Miss Budweiser goes around that Belle Isle turn. You look up high at the O'Doul's Eye in the sky, and you take a look now back behind in 3rd and 4th place, the Appian Geronimo, and the other boats coming around that turn. But look at the acceleration. We talk about this race after race. They seem to have it on that backstretch now on board with Miss Budweiser.
Unlike car racing, where you can go around your opponent, drive in front of him, and take his lane away, you cannot whack your opponent with your rooster tail. That's a penalty. You have to have at least a 5 boat length overlap before you can move in. So now Villwock has to leave room for Mark Webber as they come through the rooster tail turn. Still not an easy task for Webber because he has a kind of a narrow lane through here through this very tight turn, and that's an advantage for Villwock, who will lengthen his lead a little bit in Miss Budweiser now, getting a little loose on the front chute as he comes by to complete lap 1.
We've had some rough waters. You take a look at the Budweiser team watching things. They're happy about the start this time. They're very pleased that it got off to a good, clean start. The drivers had to sit around and wait for a while because of rough waters. It still is a little bumpy out there, and Miss Bud in front, Steve.
You saw Mark Webber. He's now moved to the outside of the Budweiser because he knows that legally Villwock can move over now, and he would get the tail end of that rooster tail if Villwock chose to make that move. So Webber wisely chooses discretion, goes to the outside where he'll have clean water, because the chances of running this boat down from the inside or the outside are slim. Meanwhile, a great race shaping up back here in 2nd place as the USA Racing Partners. Mark Webber in the yellow York Heating and Air and George Stratton in the Appian Geronimo have hooked it up for 2nd and 3rd place, and we're going to lose Mark Evans and the Miss Elam Plus. That's too bad because they had had a tremendous day as Mark parks his boat right over there in front of the crowd in that cement pit area right next to us here.
On board with Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser out in front, coming down the front straightaway. And we got a problem.
Whoa.
Holy smoke. Back up in front. You did not see this on the camera shot that we're showing you, but that was the Appian Geronimo, I believe, of George Stratton coming very close to the permanent concrete grandstand, Steve.
We had a really close call. I had just mentioned this cement abutment that holds up part of the grandstand right beside the pit area. We've had close calls in the past. Look at this. You see the Elam floating just off to the right. That is a cement wall at the right edge of your picture. And George Stratton, you can see his wake. He has just gone between the Elam and that cement wall. He cleared it by inches. We very nearly had disaster here, TJ. My goodness. Glad he came through that okay.
Very close to problems. Miss Budweiser, though, not having problems in the final. Dave Villwock has won 9 races in a row in unlimited hydroplane racing dating back to last season. That ties him on the all-time list with Bill Muncy. This is a record-breaking performance here in Detroit. So after the problems they had with being penalized a lap in Heat 4B, Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser have won the Chrysler Jeep APBA Gold Cup. Doing it in fine fashion here in Detroit. The 13th Gold Cup. Lucky 13 for Bernie Little. The 4th time for that man, Dave Villwock. And you see the other boats as they cross the line here. But the real story, Miss Budweiser. Perfect for the year 2000. They get it done again, and they win the most prestigious race on the circuit. Mark Evans waving to the crowd. Not the final that they had envisioned. Here is the way that it ends up in Detroit. Miss Budweiser being challenged again by the York boat, the Miss DYC, the Appian Geronimo in 3rd, and the updated high point standings. After 4 events, Miss Bud with a commanding lead. Victory again in the Budweiser pit. Steve Montgomery is with the happy crew, and Dave Villwock.
Good job. Way to go, Dave. Way to go.
You bet. You bet.
Good job, John.
All right, good job.
Perfect boat.
Gold Cup number 4 was not easy.
Boy, it wasn't. It was tough, and the river was tough. But, man, did the Mark Smith, Lauren Sawyer, Dixon Smith, John Reinberger, Jeff Campbell, Mike Campbell, John Rice, all of those guys gave us such a great boat throughout. They worked real hard this winter to give us a Gold Cup winning boat, and I couldn't be prouder of them. I mean, this was one of our best accomplishments, I think, because we had to work for it all day, and the guys just kept changing engines and changing boat stuff, you know, as the weather changed all day. And, you know, this was a great win for us.
You'll remember number 4 for a long time, no matter how many there are.
It was a tough one this time.
Here.